way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! With 0.6 of a second remaining. The brilliant shooting of Stephen Curry continues. Back to Green, into the hands of Stilwell. Fast break down to Weber. He turns. Look up behind the back. And the step and the foul. What a play by Weber.
I've never seen a shooting display like this. Never.
37 in a quarter.
Curry analyzes, shakes the ball out of his boot.
He takes a little swing and misses. Curry splits the defense behind the back. Fires a three. Oh, he puts it in. What a spectacular move.
That could be the greatest move I've ever seen.
Here's Curry for the record. It's good. There it is. Stephen Curry, the all-time three-point king in the NBA.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
You are in the Warriors Huddle with me, Bram, and with me, per usual, my master of all things video and sound, Maxine.
Whew, how's it going?
And my boy and producer, MT.
What's up, Laker Nation? I mean, Dub Nation.
Oh, so emergency podcast. I had a whole episode ready to go on the OKC win, the disappointing Suns loss that followed, and then the fucking world went crazy. Luka Doncic is apparently on his way to the Lakers, and so we needed to record a podcast breaking this trade down. Let me set up the trade itself, and then I got some questions, boys. All right, so here's my basic understanding of the trade, and it comes from Shams of ESPN. The Mavericks end up with Anthony Davis, so apparently he was available after that whole analysis we did last week. But in Dallas goes Anthony Davis, Max Christie, who isn't just a throw-in. Max Christie can kind of play, and the Los Angeles Lakers 2029 first-round pick. The Lakers get back Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris's dead deal. And then Utah had to get involved as well. They end up with Jalen Hood-Schifino and a 2025 second rounder from both the Mavs and the Clippers. So that's kind of the logistics. Yeah, I got real questions, but let's start this way. You guys find out about the news. What was your first thought? You know, did you think it was fucking fake? Did you get angry? I mean, like, yeah, take me through the emotional journey this sends you through.
Definitely thought it was fake for sure. Like everybody, like some of the players were like, did Shams get hacked? Like something, because you don't expect Luka Doncic to ever get traded. You know, Anthony Davis, respect him. He's a top 5 player when healthy, but it was fake. It had to be fake. I was like, there's no way that this is really happening.
Have you ever said something that you knew as you said it, the other person wasn't going to believe it? And so you kind of, you've got to hedge it, like right in the, like if I told someone like I got into Harvard, like, no, I'm not joking, dude. Like I got into Harvard. The Shams did that with his tweet. He puts out the first tweet that's just the details of the trade, the way you would any trade, and the way he's always reporting things. It's a Shams bomb now. And then literally the disbelief was so angry and so immediate, he had to retweet his original, reveal saying, oh, no, I have not been hacked. Like this is real. And it still felt so fake that when I read that, I thought to myself, that's something that someone would say if they've been hacked. Like, bullshit, dude. You're just immediately under it. It took like 8 other accounts to report it before I was like, okay, I believe this.
Yeah, I frankly, I didn't even. To the point that I thought Twitter in general had been hacked, and I thought it was some grand conspiracy that was going on to try to discredit the whole platform in light of the new administration. I'm not kidding. I was looking because I've also now subscribed to Shams on ESPN in hopes that one day I can get off of this Twitter madness, and it hadn't been posted on ESPN for 6-7 minutes. I'm like, okay, there it is, right? If it's only being posted on the Twitter platform, clearly the whole platform's fucked. And I mean, I was adamant for at least 6 minutes, and I missed the first tweet. So the one that I got in real time was, yes, this is real. Yeah. And so just like you, it's the classic, like Nixon saying, I am not a crook. Like everybody's like, well, obviously you're a fucking crook, right? Like obviously you're lying. Unbelievable. And then I just spent the rest of the night angry and giddy at the same time, because like, this is so fun. This is the best trade ever. except that it is with the fucking Lakers, and so I'm irate.
In no in particular order. Never answering to a charge before it's been made, right? So like if Shems is coming out and be like, this isn't fake, like, whoa, wait a minute, dude. Like probably also I like the idea of Elon Musk being somewhere like, I want to throw the country into disarray. And I've got Twitter. I can have it say anything I want. What do I want it to say? I want to say that Luka Doncic has gone to the Lakers. Like I know that is going to create nothing but hellfire throughout the Twitterscape, which is what went down. Okay, so it happened. Trade happened. One of the reasons all of our response has been this has to be fake is I cannot come with a rationale about why Dallas would do it. It does not make sense to me. And most of the time, even if I don't agree with some move that a team has made, if you squint, if you put yourself into their perspective, you can come up with something. I might not agree with it, but like I can imagine why. I can't imagine why here. I've got kind of a left field guess, which I will throw in a second. But you boys, if you had to come up with a rationale, what's going on here? Why would the Mavericks do this?
I'm sorry to jump straight to it. The Mavericks would never do this. I'm still sure this is not a good decision for the Mavericks organization. I think we all already know this. Anybody listening to this podcast now probably knows this already too. The justification that we heard from Nico Harrison is defense wins championships. Anthony Davis is obviously, when healthy, an excellent defensive player. He's also 32 years old and extremely injury prone. I would be frankly shocked if he made it through a whole playoff season without failing out or injuring out at some point. Okay, so why would the Mavs do this? They wouldn't. Nike would do this. I'm sorry to put on my conspiratorial hat, but look, Nico Harrison should have at least called the Miami Heat about Bam Adebayo, or called Memphis about Jaren Jackson Jr., or frankly, even the Milwaukee Bucks might consider Giannis with the way their season is going right now, right? But they didn't. Instead, he's having one conversation. Brad Townsend, the beat reporter for the Mavs, is saying that he and Pelinka have been having conversations for months, back when Pelinka was just a player agent and Nico Harrison was an executive for Nike, right? Okay. This just screams to me a move that is for the benefit of Nike, and with Luka Doncic being on the Lakers for the next 10 years, having a massive profile. He's a Jordan brand shoe guy, which is under the Nike brand. That's amazing amount of money, right? So ultimately the question I'm asking is, how much stock does Nico Harrison have in Nike?
I mean, but even then, wouldn't it have to be the owner? Because the owner ultimately has to say yes to this, and it's got to run through the new ownership group.
Cuban said he didn't have any idea about it. Here's how I think it went down. I think Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka were kidnapped, thrown into a van, and they're brought into this room, and they're sitting in these chairs, and this dude walks in, happens to be about the same height and build as Adam Silver, but he's got like a Squid Game mask on, and he just goes in and he says, the 10-minute quarter idea didn't work, and Caitlin Clark just said no, so make the trade. And Nico was like, fuck. And Rob Pelinka's like, hell yeah. And Shams is in the back and he just tweets it out, and the rest is history. Like,
and for what? Play this out for me. Why? For TV ratings? I mean, that they needed a shakeup. Then what's the upside of this?
Like there's as much as the NBA is struggling right now with viewership and the way the game is going, too many 3-pointers and the NFL is dominating and one Christmas Day, etc. I think you could argue that, at least for right now, most people don't care about talking about the Super Bowl. They're talking about this. Mm-hmm. So it's this kind of seismic trade that, it rarely happens. I think Aldridge said it's never happened in his 37-year career. And, this is one of those days where it happens. So you can't do this every single season or multiple times a season, but it got a lot of people more interested in the NBA and talking about it. So, being a little tongue in cheek there, obviously, I don't think that's exactly how it went down, but
not Squid Game mask. Some
exactly. Not the Squid Game mask, but a different mask. Yeah. But, I think I don't think Adam Silver hated it, like when David Stern vetoed the trade of Chris Paul to the Lakers. I think Adam Silver was the opposite. He was like, please, if you guys are asking for approval, yes. And you can trade anybody else if you want to trade Giannis too. Like, let's get in the headlines and shake things up.
I mean, there's collateral benefit. I mean, I see exactly what you are talking about. This makes sense to me. And we just heard from Nick Duell. Hopefully Mike can get Giannis for a second pick and heels. And he's not wrong to throw that out there. And we're going to examine what the Warriors maybe could have done with this opportunity in a second. Why Dallas would do it. Maxime, you kind of you conflated 2 points together. So there people are guessing, and Dallas is either explaining or hedging. Yeah. But Tim McMahon of ESPN has fired off an article, and it suggested a couple of things. One, the Mavs are worried about Luka Doncic's conditioning. Quote, the Mavs have had major concerns about moving forward with Luka Doncic due to his constant conditioning issues and the looming commitment of another Supermax contract extension this summer. He is in line for a $350 million extension, incidentally. Continuing the quote, the Mavericks were motivated to move Doncic because of his constant conditioning concerns. There have been significant frustration within the organization about Doncic's lack of discipline regarding his diet and conditioning, which team sources considered a major factor in his injury issues. Though Doncic was relatively lean by his standards when he reported to camp, his weight ballooned to the high 260s earlier this season, sources said. I don't mind pointing out that in the article, they translated the weight into grams, and I'm not really sure why. They tell me here that it's 118 kilograms. No one who read this shit on ESPN America was thinking to themselves, wait a minute, give me the kilograms on that. So interesting additional information there. So let's stop for a second. That's the conditioning stuff, and that's what triggers what you said, Maxime. Like, okay, I get it. $350 million. If I'm a brand new owner, I've just brought over the team. They're telling me, okay, what's happening next? Like, here, what are the things I need to be aware of? Well, next summer, we're probably negotiating for $350 million. And then I see Luka out there and he's looking kind of rotund, like maybe, we said before, like I could squint, but if that's the issue, why the fuck would you go after someone who's known for injuries? You're like, it's not, you didn't suddenly make yourself better. And incidentally, while Luka has been overrated, if this is a draft pick, like if I brought Luka in and I'm not sure how good he's going to be, and I keep telling him to lose weight, and he isn't, and he's not listening, before I know how good he can be with this weight, maybe he's the fucking third best player in the NBA despite being overweight. What do you give a shit about how many kilograms he weighs for? He is already succeeding despite these issues. So I do not accept that. I don't think that is real in any way, shape, or form. I call BS, right? Then the next thing, and Maxime hit this. They came out and quoted Nico Harrison as saying, quote, I believe that defense wins championships. I believe that getting an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better chance. We're built to win now and in the future. Again, I call bullshit. And here's why. Why not create a bidding war? Why are you doing this in the blind? And why do it right now? I understand that the trade deadline's coming up, but you've got Luka under contract for a whole nother year. You mentioned some young centers. I'll throw in another one. Evan Mobley. You can,
yes,
with someone of Luka's caliber, he's 25 years old. He's just on the outside of reaching his prime. Chances are he's going to get better over the next couple of years. It doesn't make any sense to me why you would negotiate in the blind with only one person, unless, boys. So here's my guess. Luka told him, fuck you. I'm out. I do not want this. And he told him a little step further. I'm out to one place, ladies and gentlemen. My talent dictates that I'm in the major market that everybody knows about. I don't want to go to Boston. I want to go to LA. Can't be the Clippers. Send me the Lakers. That's the only possible thing that makes sense, is that if he told them, I'm not re-upping, I'm only going to one place, let me go there. But even then, if that demand is made and I'm Dallas, I tell them, okay, we're going to do it, but you got to let me fake like there's other possibilities. You got to let me like float out this bidding war, and ultimately I'll send you to the Lakers, but I need to bounce them off of somebody else. So the timing on this, I just don't get. I don't understand what was behind it.
Well, this is why I go straight to the Nike thing. I mean, frankly, I know I'm not kidding, because it just, by all accounts, Luka was surprised by this. Everybody was surprised by this. There has never, the reason this feels like such a seismic trade is there has never in the history of the modern NBA with Twitter and the internet been a time that you have no leaks. Not a beat reporter in Dallas saying, "Oh, I'm hearing some things." Everybody was saying Dallas was committed, or Luka was committed to the Dallas organization, which also makes me think, by the way, he would have signed a Supermax. He was eligible for the Supermax. And then now you have people would still love to trade him, but now you just have so much more room to work with. It makes no sense for the Mavericks.
Maybe the owner is just not down on $350 million. You know, I mean, like literally straightforward, finds out that number. This is what's coming, you know, and just says, no, like, I'm not down to play ball, like a John Fisher kind of thing, you know, and that can't become an ongoing story if I'm the owner, you know, and instead of allowing any space for that to come out to be reported, you know, for a year, instead, like, nope, out, he's gone now, you know, like that's it. Let's not even have that be a story. Let's cut this off now. I love Max. I mean, I'm a huge conspiracy guy. I love this idea. I love the research on the Nike thing. I like the idea there too. But the disconnect for the conspiracy theory there is the GM doesn't have control like that on his own. It's got to run through other people, you know? And so if the owner was off and he was like, no, what you don't understand is how much Nike stock I have. The owner would be like, fuck you, Nico. It's like, that's great, dude, but you're not making the trade. Like, we're not doing this for you and your Nike stock, you know? So
I'm wearing Adidas right now, Nico. Shut up.
You know, that's great. Good luck with your stock portfolio. You're going to need a new job because it's not going to be here. And so, you know what? So I change. That's more so because I want to say of the two things for me that Luka demanded one, or it's just a money thing. You know, this is not reporting. This is bald-faced guessing. That's all this is. My guess is it's a money thing. And it's an understanding of do not allow this to be a news cycle. I don't want to hear my name as a new owner who's not going to pay this guy. So you make it disappear now.
I think that's right. I think it's the money thing. In Nico's initial response and justification when he said tumultuous summer, I think that's code for the owner said, I'm not giving him $350 million with his conditioning and the way he's approached that he hasn't earned that type of contract.
Yep.
You know, he's still great, but if he's hurt, you know, like I'm not going to do the Deshaun Watson of all contracts. So I could see that happening, you know, like to be fair, you know, like and be more serious. I think I'm on the side of I get it. If you get that from ownership, then I agree. I think they should have explored more teams and other players because they could have gotten more. That said, if everybody is healthy, I think Dallas is a dangerous team in the playoffs.
Why?
A healthy Kyrie, a healthy and Clay, who's shooting well all of a sudden now, which is a different story. And then AD gets to play the 4, and you have Gafford and Lively if Lively comes back and is playing well, taking up the 5 minutes. To me, that's a tough team to beat. You know, and like you can throw in, you know, whoever else into the mix, Jones Jr., whoever for or Hardy for, you know, the third player. But I think it was the ownership, but I think Nico had some cojones to make that trade. But I think they're a dangerous team. If they're healthy and they're playing well, I think they are a tough out with how well Kyrie's been playing and how, you know, right now when Anthony Davis is healthy, he's a top 5 player in the league. He's not as good as Luka Doncic, but he's not outside the top 10. In my opinion, I think he's top 5.
I mean, the most important thing you just said there is he's not as good as Luka Doncic. I mean, who happened to be the person he was fucking traded for? You know, I think. I mean, so to quote Nico Harrison, you know, we are built to win now and in the future. So you just covered the built to win now. Let's skip for a moment to the future. You are less built to win for the future. Point blank. Period. Anthony Davis is 31. Doncic is 25. So bullshit. You know, now go to now. Are they better now? I think what they've become and what you've just described is a team nobody wants to play. But you know who they were 2 days ago? A team nobody wants to play. They went to the finals last year. You know, they've taken some steps back recently. That's because Doncic is hurt. And I'll add, there's a couple of players on this team. You know, there are different type of NBA guys, guys who are just straightforward professionals. Whoever the hell is out on the court with them, that's who's out on the court with them. They will continue to give you their skill set. They will be totally fine. And then there's people who are a little bit more head cases. I can associate with them more. People where if everything suddenly changed, they're not just immediately like, okay, no, I'm still fine. I'll give you two names who fit that in my mind. Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson. There's no way that both of them showed up like to practice or whatever today, like nothing's changed. Like there's going to be a whole like, wait a minute, like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? No one really talked to us about that. And I don't, that's not to say that they won't be able to make the leap, but there's going to be the adjustments these guys have to make now is going to be hard, I think, for them to make that jump.
Just a quick spoiler alert. I mean, sorry, live score right now. The Mavs are down a fucking million points. Like, tell me that that's not this whole team freaking out.
It's 133-83 currently, Cleveland versus Dallas. To be fair, right, Anthony Davis is not in Dallas, and I think Kyrie's not playing in that game. But you know who they're getting a firsthand look at? Evan Mobley. If I'm the owner, I'm like, wait a minute, dude, is he 31 and injury risk? Because why the hell didn't we go after this guy? All right, I was going to say let's make this Warriors related. Here's the transition to making it Warriors related. How does Klay Thompson feel about this? Is he happy? Is he pissy? Does this change the analysis? If he could hit the time machine and come back, would he like to? What's your guys' read here?
I think he is okay with it now. Like, given his recent performance now that Luka's been out and he's been playing a little bit better. So I think he's ultimately okay with it, but only because he had the benefit of knowing what it's like to play without Luka for this past month. If Luka had been playing and they just did this straight up, I think Klay would be like, send me back to Golden State.
No, I think that's the right take, because the idea most likely was like, I'm just supposed to be standing in the corner not doing shit. You're supposed to be finding me, I'm not supposed to be a ball handler, but that he's been playing fine without having to really handle the rock that much without Luka being there. I think you're right. I think he makes the transition. Maxime, take the next Warriors question. All right. So it turns out, dude, Luka Doncic was available. I don't know if you heard, he was a fat ass in Dallas. They didn't want him at all. They may or may not have been looking for a defensive-minded center. That's not something we necessarily have, but we do have some assets, all right? And more specifically, we got some first-round picks. So do you wish the Warriors had pursued a trade with Dallas for Luka? And I'll give you a suggestion. I hopped on the trade machine. This money-wise would have worked. Wiggins, JK, Schroeder, Pods, and three first rounders. All right. So I understand we're not giving up Anthony Davis. They're not getting that. Right. But in the trade they made, they only got one first rounder. In this one, we're giving them a young talent in JK. We're giving them, Wiggins, who's having a hell of a season, and then three first rounders. So there's a chance at least that they would consider it, sleepless night. Would you guys make that trade right now for Luka Doncic?
You said a bunch of stuff and I stopped paying attention because you told me I could have Luka Doncic. Of course I'm making that trade. This is fucking absurd. There's Nikola Jokic, maybe Giannis, and Luka Doncic, and then Steph for sure. And then maybe we're starting to have a conversation about SGA. Those people felt until yesterday untradeable to me. This guy is 25. He could carry your franchise for probably the next 10 years. Like, hell yes, I'm making that trade. He vaults Steph back into contention immediately for a fifth ring. You figure out how to put the pieces around that. Luka is a genius, and I think the Warriors organization is capable of helping him get through his stuff and getting him back on the court. And it's a no-brainer to me. I don't care how you put in all of our first round picks.
Yeah, I think you do it, but I think as a result, you have to get a new coach, because if there's one thing that fat ass Luka Doncic won't do, it's run around in a motion offense for an entire shot clock for 40 or 48 minutes, wherever you land with that. So, like the offensive theory that the Warriors use would have to change, but it automatically extends Steph's career 2-3 years. If Luka's handling a rock and Steph just has to go sit in the corner like Klay did, and you have Steph shooting it instead of Klay, like, yeah, no brainer. You don't do it, but you have to make some changes to your offensive philosophy. And I don't know if Steve Kerr's willing to change his X's and O's theory.
I love the idea of them bringing him in. They have that first team meeting, practice, whatever it is. And Luke is like, so pick and roll heavy. And Steve's like, no, fuck no. Immediately calls Mike D, like, this isn't going to work out, dude. Like, we got to, call up Nico Harrison. We may have to get this trade reevaluated. Would I do that? Of course I would. What are we talking about? Of course I would. I'll take it a step further and I'll hedge this. All right. Ultimately, I would say no. But there are people on earth where if I was the GM for the Warriors and they called me and wanted to trade for Steph Curry, I'd immediately say, no, of course not. And then secretly, when no one was around and I was in my office totally alone and they didn't know I was making the call, I'd call back. Like, hey, what were we saying? What were we saying about Steph Curry trade? I don't know what the population on Earth is, whatever billion amount of people it is, right? Of those billion amount of people, there's probably 2-3 people on Earth I would be willing to make that concession for. You know what one of them is? Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic, what's going on? Why? And did it have to be the Lakers? Of anybody, man, of anyone he could have gone to. I did this more than Boston, more than OKC, more than anybody. Did it have to be the Lakers? And here's my next follow-up question to that. Is he in line to be the most hated opponent of all time? Because I have already gotten pissy with pissy Luka. His whole affect on the court and entitlement and his kind of bitchy face, it bothers me just of how good he was. And when he was doing it then, it was in a jersey that didn't already have a bunch of pent up anger from me. I look at a Dallas Mavericks jersey, I don't really care. I look at a Lakers jersey, I'm already kind of angsty. You fill it in with Luka Doncic's face while he's beating us. I think that's it. I think he might be, he has the recipe for my most hated opponent of all time, and we're not there yet. We'll see, but I think he might make it.
Yeah. And that could have been part of the discussion or strategy for Nico, just trying to jump in and help him save a little face. But the amount of endorsement deals and the amount of those deals changes if Luka Doncic is wearing a Lakers jersey versus a Mavericks jersey, even if it's the exact same sponsorship company sponsoring him. So that could be a way to make up for the lost money from him not being able to have the Supermax now that he's been traded. But I agree. Anybody but the Lakers. But now they have, the challenge of LeBron is probably, next to him in terms of ball in his hands is probably the best offense for you. And now it's going to be only in Luka's hands. It's LeBron isn't good enough at setting up outside the 3-point line, or, are you just asking LeBron James to cut? And then how are you filling out the roster around Luka? It feels like it's a repeat of the Dallas Mavericks roster pre-Kyrie Irving, where he was great.
Perfect transition. First, let me say, unconfirmed reports say that Nico Harrison actually tried to send him to Nike's AAU team just to really get Nike as much money as they possibly could. But then Silver had to take off the squid mask and be like, no. This guy at least has to be in the NBA. Marcus, you ask, how does this work with LeBron? I ask, does this mean LeBron's available? What's the Lakers doing? What is this? Is this they're trying to win right now? Because I don't think this puts them in the line with OKC or Boston. I'm not sure that this really vaults them back in contention. What it does to me is reset. They've got now a franchise guy who's 25, who everyone's going to want to play with him. You can start gathering string, gathering all the free agents. They are always positive they're going to get anyways. But what that would mean is that this year, probably not. And so does this mean LeBron's available? And if it does, would you make a move? I've got a suggested trade if you guys want it. But first, just tackle that first one. If you had to guess, they're not going to come out and say it. The Lakers can't say that. But, the same way Dallas didn't say shit with Luka. Do you think secretly Pelinka would listen to an offer for LeBron now?
I think he would, but not because he wants to. I think it's the opposite. I think now LeBron has more of a right to go and say, trade me. And I don't know if you don't trade him. I don't know if Pelinka and the Lakers, they're obviously a different franchise and have a different aura about them than Miami Heat. But I don't know if Pelinka wants to go down the Pat Riley, I'm okay with letting superstars languish and leave for nothing. And LeBron can just say, trade me, or I will request a trade publicly and this will go south quickly. And then so Pelinka probably considers it, but not because he wants to, because LeBron says it.
I like that take. Before I respond, a quick ad read.
Underdog is the best place to cash in on all your takes during the big game. Which players are going off and which ones are ice cold? Make your entries in just a few taps. With Underdog's Pick'em game, you compete against other players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more players' stats. No complicated money lines, no need to understand the point spread or have any knowledge on sports gambling. You just need to have an opinion on how a player is going to do in a game. For example, if you think Luka is going to go higher than 40 in his Lakers debut, or that AD will make everyone look right by hitting lower than 5 boards in Dallas, you make those picks, and if you're right, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. They also save you from the worst thing in fantasy sports. You guys already know that I'm still smarting from the Paolo injury to start the season. With the Underdog Rescues option, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your pick to lose. Underdog is the place to play Pick'em. Download the app, sign up with promo code WHP, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code WHP, as in Warriors Huddle Podcast. Must be 18 years or older, 19 years or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 years or older in Colorado for some games, 21 years or older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado for some games. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Just to tag on to that, I'd like to thank Joel Embiid, OG, Nas, Julius Randle, and Cam Thomas all for getting hurt and shitting the bed of my fantasy team. Taking a team that was great and now slowly pushing them out of the playoffs. And more seriously, I'd like to thank Underdog for having an option that saves you against exactly that. You know, that fantasy team, dude, I was so into for like 3 weeks. It meant everything longer than that. 6 weeks, top of the mountain, first place. Now I'm awful, can't even look at it. And in Underdog, impossible. You're just out. You don't have to worry about that in any way. So if you like fantasy, I'm not even talking just to the people who enjoy gambling. If you like fantasy, consider switching because it is a much healthier, enjoyable way to experience this. I can tell you for sure. Back to Pelinka, gentlemen, here's the trade. Here's the trade. Okay. I don't know. They're not looking to make an immediate move. Although what spoke to me about this, of all the teams that LeBron has ever played for, I'm sure that they called LeBron. You know, you can't have LeBron on your team, make a trade of this caliber, especially since it's the guy he specifically wanted in AD. You can't make that trade without calling him and getting his opinion on it. Now, that said, I don't know if he's ever played for a team like the Lakers, where even if he had said no, they probably would have said yes. You know, I think it's a different relationship that he has with Pelinka than LeBron has had, like when he was in certainly Cleveland, maybe even Miami. Okay, but that said, I don't know if the Lakers say yes to this. Would you guys, if Pelinka called you and said, we will give you LeBron right now, but we want back Wiggins, Schroeder, JK, and Waters, you guys say yes? No first rounder, you may have noticed. So Wiggins, Schroeder, JK, Waters, you're giving up Wiggins having a real solid year, JK youth, and Waters, Schroeder, more throw-ins.
I think you do it. And I think you do it because of what we saw in Paris this summer. I think you do it because it is one more chance to get Steph a ring. Granted, you give LeBron a ring at the same time, but to me, that's enough. These guys together have one more run in them. The brains and basketball skill on the court is still absolutely elite, top of all time. You know, LeBron is older. We've seen it this year. He's taken a step back, but over a 16-game playoff format, he absolutely can still be Apex A1. And we saw how well the chemistry worked between Steph and LeBron this summer. So, yes, I do it.
I already used this gimmick, so I'll do short version. Another one of those, like, out of the billions of people out there, very few names. So we've been talking about home run swing trades. You know, Levine, you even hear like Zion. The people who can actually put a Steph Curry team led or a team that is led by Steph Curry back into real contention right now, you're talking 2-3 people on earth. You know, maybe. I think LeBron might be one of them. You know, I think his timeline, his age, his skill set, his knowledge, his IQ, how he could run this system, you know, how he could put Steph off ball. I think he could be one. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but it's certainly intriguing. I love how Wiggins has been playing. I'm not sure they're going to pay JK. I'd say yes. It wouldn't be immediate, but I'd say yes.
Yeah, I'd say yes too. I don't think we want to pay JK, so I think that's a easy way out of having to deal with that tumultuous summer on our end. The It just concerns me. I think LeBron is one of those players, but he's still 40 years old. It's like, like at the end of the day, father time, they say, is undefeated for a reason. So we have a better shot than what we would have with the current roster, but that window is only cracked open for a little bit. The hands are on it to shut it very quickly.
If I'm Mike D and is going through the list of names, I'm like shaking, yes. And then if a first rounder gets thrown in, they're like, no, nope, boom, hang it up. I'll do it now. But am I doing one of those mortgage the future deals? No, 100%. No, I am not. Gentlemen, does this change the NBA landscape for you this year? I mean, I think it changes it over the next 15. Luka is going to be here for a while. But this year, does it change your perception of the title picture?
No, I don't think it's actually a very good fit between Luka and LeBron, as we have touched on already. And as I said before, I don't trust AD to remain healthy in these playoffs. I think OKC is still the team to beat. I think Boston is still a leg up on them. And frankly, Cleveland as well. And there's just other teams out there at this point. The way that the chemistry between Russell Westbrook and Jokic is such that I would put them ahead of both of these teams as well.
And I mean, of the teams that got immediately better, we've spent this entire talking about the Lakers, and that's true. They're going to have to completely change everything. Is it reasonable to expect that they can make all of those changes in the next month or so, and then really come charging out of the gates? I don't think so. And that's what led to is LeBron available? Because I don't think it's this year. So, they probably have to look into the future.
Yeah. The problem with that, I agree. I don't think this season works out for the Lakers. The challenge with that is this experience probably changes the way Luka views the league and his loyalty to a team. Yep. So the Lakers are banking on him re-signing with them essentially. And now that he doesn't have Supermax money, it's essentially the same deal on the table versus a bunch of other teams. So what's to say Joker doesn't tell Denver, hey, trade a bunch of the pieces and bring Luka over here, or if he wants to go somewhere else where he wants to go. So I think the Lakers are rolling the dice significantly that their culture and their mystique are enough to have Luka sign a long-term deal when he's up for extension, when the fact that he's right now he's well, the league is a business, so I'm going to approach it as a business then.
And no loyalties. Everyone's just loyal to themselves. So who would I like to play with? That's where I'm going. The portion I didn't want to say out loud, but just the other side of that coin, there's also a chance if you're looking for the one-way surefire to motivate Luka Doncic to come in shape, have him be traded in an embarrassing fashion and then have his old team report why, that they thought he was too fat, and then somebody of his skill set, I mean, we'll see pretty goddamn fast how it impacted him and give him another offseason. It wouldn't surprise me if he weighed, 18 kilograms next season as he came in. And so we'll find out. But you're not wrong to say that, MC. I mean, because I think Mark Stein has reported, and as you already said, Maxime, that it was a surprise to Luka. The other side of this thing of no, he wasn't demanding to move to LA. He didn't know anything was coming. If that's true, you are rolling the dice as the Lakers. Yeah. And we'll see. I guess we'll see. One take on the OKC. So rocky week in Warriorland, but a rocky season. I mean, it fits the whole year. They had an unbelievable win against OKC, a real feel-good walk away win against the best team in the league, and then a real shitburger loss to Phoenix. But my focus isn't on that. We will get back to their mediocrity, I'm sure, next week. My focus is on the end of the OKC game. So they beat a great team. Feels fantastic. Home win. Crowds into it. They dump ice water on Steve Kerr as if we'd won the championship. All right. So do you guys like it or don't? Bush League or a ray of hope in a otherwise dark season?
Can it be both? I think it is a ray of hope in a pretty dark season. I think it's fun, and I think it also shows that we're not that serious. What this OKC win reminded me of, it actually ironically kind of made me sad because I remembered random teams in the middle of the league giving their absolute A+ effort when we were on our dynastic run. We got everybody's best work because everybody knew that the teams were paying attention, that the world was paying attention when they played us. And it just sucks to be on the other side of that. It sucks that we showed up with our best effort because we knew we wanted to prove something to the OKCs of the world. It's hard to take. It's hard to remember that we are not that team from 2019 anymore.
Milwaukee printed a shirt. Remember when we went 18-0 or whatever it was? Like we had that huge start of the Milwaukee beat us, and they fucking printed a regular season shirt.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I take it the other way. I think I liked it, but only because the thing that this team is like its fuel is joy.
Yeah.
And like whether at the end of this season, only one team will have accomplished the goal, and all other 29 teams will be like, shit, terrible season, we didn't accomplish the goal, whatever. So the fact that we're just having fun along the way, to me, it's the equivalent of other teams getting mad when OKC all does the post game after a win together. It's like they're having fun. Like, why do you care? Like, whatever gives us joy, and like, we're playing a game, we're playing a sport. We've had a tremendous run. We're not winning every game anymore. Most dynasties have that same experience when it's at the end of it. So it's like if they had a great win and it's turned the corner and they're playing better than they ever thought they would, have fun, celebrate the joy. It didn't translate very long because like the joy was immediately squelched or squashed when Phoenix came in. But I think overall, just let people have fun. It's their work. They're having fun and finding joy in doing it. So who cares?
What you guys are saying is not mutually exclusive. I agree with both of you. Maxime, I do not like what this shows where the team is. You're right. You're right. Why would I prefer be dumping Gatorade on Kerr after championships? Yes. And are we anywhere close to that? No. MT, was I upset that they did it? Did it feel Bush League to me? No. This team, as you've said, they're fueled by a lot of things. Their dynasty was fueled by jump shots. If they did something that was aimed at getting their jumper back on, be on board for it. Their dynasty was fueled by defense in a season. They've actually been pretty good defensively this year. But if they did something that like, oh, they're trying to get their defense back. Got it. It's also been fueled by joy. That was an attempt to get fucking joy back in the locker room. This season has been a black hole of joy. It's been this, we talked about Curry's body language. We've talked, it's just been this hard thing. And so if they found some reason to be like, hooray, like even just for fucking 30 seconds, no, I didn't think it was Bush League. I think it was necessary. And as Phoenix showed, that's not enough. It's not. This is the end of the road trip. You know what I mean? Like it's not. I didn't see the OKC thing and suddenly think that we were as good as them. And so I was happy that they found a modicum of joy in a difficult season. All right, gentlemen. Interesting pod. I feel like I've learned some shit. I feel about Nico Harrison's Nike ownership. I did not know anything about that. It'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out with everything in mind. Go Warriors. And hopefully we'll see you next time.